Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the California-Nevada Chat of Friday, May 31st, 2024. My name is Len Dumas, Executive Director of Northern California PGA, and on behalf of NCPGA President Eric Lippert and our colleagues, Executive Director, CEO Nikki Gatch, and President Eric Lohman of the Southern California PGA, we thank you for the continued support of the chats. And of course, our on-air team, Steve Monday, Shelby Zell, Bryce Seaver, Danny Cross, cast of thousands being broadcast once a month. Our guest this morning, following our live from Frisco last month from the 106 PGA Championship at Valhalla about 2 weeks ago, Kyle Mendoza, head golf professional at Hacienda Golf Club, and Brad Merrick, teaching professional at Carica Park, will dive in with them for their experience. And of course, congratulations, Kyle and Brad, for qualifying and getting yourself to Valhalla. Very exciting. And also joining us for our legislative update is Craig Kessler, Director of Public Affairs for the Southern California Golf Association. So we've got a great show today. Let's dig right in. I'll start with our president from Northern California PGA, Eric Lippert. Eric?
Well, thank you, Len. Welcome, everybody. It's extremely exciting to have everybody here, especially that we have Eric Lohman on too as a special guest. It seems like he always is so special, but more than anything, what I did want to say today as we go, I think, Len, this is probably the last one where you'll be leading this, if I'm not mistaken. And I just wanted to, on behalf of our section and all of our members, thank you for the incredible job that you've done over the years. It's been a great time getting to know you. We really appreciate everything you've done, all the service that you've given. You've been a diamond in the rough for us, and we're going to miss the heck out of you. And I know you'll just be down the street, and I'll be over there playing once a week with you over there in Napa, but maybe even sampling a little wine if you want to send it my way. But very happy for you, sad for us, but I know we'll still continue to see each other and spend a lot of time. But thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you very much. Yeah. And to our colleagues in Southern California, Nikki.
Thanks, Lynn. I know we'll do some formal goodbyes later in the show, but just want to congratulate you on everything, and more to come later at the end of the chat. But at this time, I'll hand it over to the president of the Southern California section, Mr. Eric Lohman.
Good morning. I just wanted to reiterate what Eric said in regards to Len, just congratulating Len on the time he spent supporting the Northern California PGA. And I know in our involvement through Southern California, we've always enjoyed the time we spent with Len and his leadership up north and his support of District 11 and all that he's done. And now he's joining our family with Troon, helping us out at Silverado Resort. So we couldn't be happier with that. But I know that there's a lot of people who are going to miss Len on a daily basis with his support of the Northern California PGA. Just like Tom Addis, a legend in his own mind. And we're just super stoked that he isn't going too far away. And while I'm on the call, I just want to congratulate Kyle and Brad for doing so well at the PGA Championship, obviously, and representing all of us daily golf professionals who struggle to get the ball in the hole. It's always great to see that some of us still compete at the highest level and represent us well. So thank you very much for that. And we were pulling, I know for Kyle, Southern California, it's always nice when you wake up and you're sitting in bed watching the folks on TV and you see one of your own doing so well. I took a snapshot and sent it to Kyle, and didn't know he was going to miss it by only one, but just proud of everybody here and on the call, and just thanks for being a part of it and let me participate, being the second best Eric president in California. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. Thank you for those kind words. And also, Kyle, Brad, let's start perhaps even at the qualifier, right, at Frisco, and how that went down. I know there were weather delays and so on and so forth. And let's start there, and then we'll work our way to Kentucky. So, Kyle?
Yeah, we spoke last time, I think it was a day or two prior to that tournament. And, I kind of touched on the fact that we were going to have some delays and how we're going to
Do you want to listen to him?
prepare for it. And
Okay.
And so, a lot of that was just making sure that we were we were good with the fact that we were going to have some odd times that we are going to tee off. We weren't going to finish certain rounds. We are going to have to play at least, 27 holes on one day. So just preparing for that mentally, and then you just kind of roll with the punches. That was kind of the main thing that we had to do that week.
Yeah. Thanks, Kyle. Brad? Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely echo that. Kyle, congrats on didn't really run into you much in Valhalla, but obviously super cool to be there and have you playing so well. But Texas was a grind. The practice rounds, the wind was blowing. Couple days had to be blowing 30 plus, right, Kyle?
Yeah.
And then just the endless delays. I think I had to play 26 holes the second day, 20 holes the final day, which you're never really looking to do because the final day is going to be a bit of a mental grind. So a lot of 4:30, 4:45 alarm clocks, things like that. I guess they never really get fog in Dallas, and we managed to have a 2-hour fog delay one of the days in addition to the rain. And then it was a really quick turnaround just from there to Valhalla. Last time I made it, I think we had kind of 2.5, 3 weeks in between, and this was just 2 weeks. So it was a quick turnaround, but great facility down there in Texas. They did a really nice job building that place, and was fun to be able to hang out there for a week.
That's great. Thanks for sharing, guys. Let's fast forward. Now you're at Valhalla. It's tournament week. Can you take us through when did you arrive? Maybe give us some inside scoop if you can. What did it look like in the locker room? What were some of the perks of being a player? Who did you play your practice rounds with? Just any kind of behind the curtain info you can share would be really cool. Kyle, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so my family and I flew in on Saturday, checked into our house, which is in downtown. We rented like a 2-story apartment in downtown Louisville, right by the Bat Museum. We got in there, and then I had planned on playing with Phil Mickelson and Blocky on Sunday morning, which was great because there was nobody there. So that's always cool to kind of just go play golf, which is what we did. We weren't really grinding on practice stuff. We maybe hit a few extra putts here and there, but we were just playing golf, had a money game, kind of had a good time on Sunday. The weather was perfect. There was no wind. It was sunny. It was like, this is like the ideal day to get to kind of just know the golf course, and had some pretty good company that day as well. And then Monday, was thinking about maybe playing with Xander on Monday. We had kind of talked about it the week before, but the way that Charlotte went, I wasn't going to ask him Sunday night if he wanted to play Monday. So I kind of left that alone. And then just showed up to the golf course, and we ended up playing with Rom on Monday morning, and David Puig. And Monday was super cool. My son, who always walks tournaments with me, especially the last couple of years, he basically walked tee to green with our group and along with my father. So, the two of them had, just an awesome day walking tee to green, getting to kind of have that inside the ropes experience. And then obviously playing with one of the best players in the world was pretty cool. And then Tuesday was an off day, a planned off day already. Especially when we got there and kind of started looking at the weather. Tuesday was going to be bad. I always try to take one day off, during a week like that. So Tuesday, had really bad weather. I think they pulled players off the golf course 2 or 3 times that day, which for me didn't bother me. I wasn't planning on doing anything anyway. Actually got some work done. We had to take a picture for Corbridge in the morning with the team of 20, and then got some work done on my iPad that morning, and then ended up having breakfast with Derek Ueda, who's a good friend of mine down from San Diego, who's Xander's putting coach. And then Blocky showed up, then Charlie Hopp was there. Next thing you know, our table's full of, really good players just chit-chatting for 2 hours. And that was pretty cool to do that. And then did the interview with Xander in the afternoon for the Golf Channel on Tuesday afternoon. So that day was kind of just a cool off day. Didn't really do much, which was kind of relaxing to do. And then Wednesday morning played with Charlie Hoffman early. We played the front 9. And again, playing with those guys is so cool because you kind of you kind of can see how they prepare. And luckily I've been able to be a part of some good practice rounds over the last 3 or 4 years with some guys. So I kind of have my own way of doing it. But just, watching them play and just knowing that, they are all really good, but they also, hit some shots just like we do that are kind of, off the radar, so to speak. It's kind of comforting to know like you don't have to be perfect out here. And it kind of gives you, or at least gives me a kind of a sense of relaxation, going into the week. And then, come Thursday morning, it was just like a normal tournament for me. It was super relaxing. Just, I knew that, hey, if I go out and play, my game is golf course is long, but if I can hit fairways and greens, we're going to be okay. And it was just super relaxing the whole week, up until, probably up until I hit the second shot on 7 on Saturday morning. That was the only time I kind of didn't really feel all that great about what was going on. So, but yeah, I mean, it was a super cool week. And to have, in the locker room, you're passing by the guys that you watch all the time on TV and that you kind of see playing and week to week. That's always a cool thing about playing and not only a tour event, but a major championship.
That's really cool. Thanks for sharing, Kyle. Some awesome practice rounds there, and what a cool experience for your son and father too. That's really cool stuff. Thanks for sharing. Brad, how about you?
Yeah, not quite as many cool practice round experiences as Kyle with the Southern California connections there, but still had some cool stuff. So I got in a couple days before Kyle, and like he said, just getting there, there's really no one there until Sunday afternoon. You start seeing a few people, but with that, they had Quail Hollow the week before, the Wells Fargo, so most of those guys were all playing that event, so nobody really got there until, I don't know, around lunch on Monday. So it was great to have kind of the whole place to myself for a few days. Felt like able to learn the course a little bit more, and just, it was just a long, hard golf course. Rain certainly didn't help any of the shorter hitters because the fairways were pretty soft and the rough was very, very lush. Got a practice round in on Wednesday with played 9 holes with Wyndham Clark, defending US Open champion. So that was obviously very cool, great experience. Very interesting to see him. He uses 3 different tee heights on his driver and has a bunch of different shots that he tries to hit off of the tee. So it was kind of picking his brain on what he was trying to do there. So he's got a high T1 where he swings it pretty much full bore, and then he's a medium tee height that's got the same swing, and then finally he's got a low one that he kind of bunts out there that doesn't spin much, and he says he used that one into the wind a lot. And I would kind of echo Kyle's observation. These guys are super good players. So played with Wyndham, Peter Malnati, and Eric Cole. Eric Cole was Rookie of the Year last year on Wednesday. And the good shots are just tremendous. And I mean, their ability to fly the ball, 310 in the air is absolutely ridiculous. But there are still a decent number of loose shots. It's not like every shot is perfect. And I do agree that it is definitely comforting to see, is that there's still a lot of misses involved in the game at the highest level. Unless you're Scheffler. I stood behind him on the range a couple times, and that was one of the more interesting things I've ever witnessed. If he was playing if his range were a 2-lane road, 99 out of 100 balls would probably land on that 2-lane road. There's not much curve. The start line was very, very consistent. It was really a sight to see. That was probably the coolest thing I witnessed over the course of the week, I guess, other than him running to the range on Friday morning, a half hour before his tee time. So we did get to, the delays in Texas weren't enough. We got to experience, a tragic delay, and then all of the chaos that ensued after that. But just kind of a surreal week to be a part of that. But yeah, the practice leading up was great. It was just, I think, a little unique with the elevated event right before. So you kind of had the course to yourself until about Monday at lunch, and then it was kind of a madhouse from there on out.
That's awesome.
Great, Brad. Thank you. So we'll go reverse order. So Brad, as the week goes on and you learn more about the golf course and have conversations such as you did with Wyndham Clark, how does your strategy change in terms of thoughts coming into Valhalla? This is your second PGA, right? You played it at Kiowa back in 2021, which was awesome. And so as the week, as I said, as the week moves on and starts to get more crowded and their fans start showing up and the environment is changing, how do you deal with that, one? And then two, your feeling about the golf course?
In terms of strategy, I wouldn't say that I thought it was a very good golf course, but I didn't find it to be tremendously difficult, like strategic puzzle. The greens were relatively soft all week, so it was, you know, if you were able to hit fairways, you could be fairly aggressive into the greens if you had a shorter club. Not that you had a lot of those, but from a strategy standpoint, I mean, you were just trying to hit it as far as you could and get it in the fairway. And then if from there, like for me personally, having some longer clubs in, it was a lot of centers of greens because I had a ton of 4, 5s, and 6 irons in. So even though the greens were soft, it wasn't like you could go, you know, aiming at a lot of pins. I just hit it in the rough, kind of got caught in the rain on our front nine the second day and just hit it in the rough a few too many times. But the strategy was pretty easy to see. I think just even after playing it a couple times, you just knew that if you were going to hit fairways, you might have a chance to play well. If you missed fairways, it was going to be a struggle, and just trying to figure out, you know, if I miss a fairway, what greenside bunker can I get it in that would be an easy up and down? Where, you know, which side of the green do I have to miss this on to certain pins? So and then just kind of familiarizing yourself with, they had zoysia grass on the fairways. So you're able to put a ton of spin on that ball on any kind of short wedge, which was a little bit different than what we're used to out here. So, but the crowds, it's certainly, you know, even at Kiowa, there were COVID restrictions on how many fans would be out there. So even the practice rounds this year felt about as crowded as some of like the weekend rounds at Kiowa did for me, just because I think we had 35,000 people out there at Valhalla most of the week. And I think Kiowa, they topped out at like 15 or 20,000 each day. So obviously a little tough when you're not used to that week in, week out. There's just kind of a constant noise around some of the holes on the back nine. It's not like people are ever going to be totally quiet for you, and you just have to be used to that, you know, white noise in the background as you're getting ready to hit a shot or hit a putt.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. Kyle, same to you. You know, your thoughts along the way. Hopefully, you made some money in the Monday games and so on and so forth. And how does the approach change or not change as the week moves on?
Yeah, we made a few dollars off of old Blocky and Lefty there on Sunday, which was cool. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like Brad said, it's not strategically, it wasn't a tough puzzle to solve, mainly because, you know, any hole that had, well, at least for me, any hole that had like something where you had to make a decision, you know, like in hole 6, you know, the fairway ends at like 310. Well, it ends at like 310, but it's west. It's like I can just hit driver here. Like it's not a big deal. I don't need to hit 3-wood or 5 or anything like that. So it's like, you know, a lot of the strategy was more of, okay, if I miss the fairway, where do I need to then hit the next shot to open up, you know, shots into greens to different hole locations. You know, so that to me was kind of the cool part about that golf course. Is it's not like it's going to challenge you strategically off the tee, but it's a second shot golf course for the most part. You know, I would say most Nicklaus golf courses are kind of like that, where, you know, the greens sit at weird angles, the yardages have to be right. You know, certain hole locations you can hide behind bunkers, hide behind mounds and stuff like that. So, you know, and I think what we saw that week why the scores were so low is because the greens were soft, and you get those guys with, you know, even a mid and long iron in their hand. If you hit the ball the correct distance, you couldn't hide the flag. You couldn't hide the hole anywhere. It didn't matter. Like the first round on hole 2, the hole location is like middle left. It's maybe 3 or 4 paces off the green on the left. And I watched player after player that night just hit shots 5, 6, 7 feet from 180 to 190. You know, and it's like, I mean, and I was in that fairway. I had to hit 7-wood in on 2, but it's like, I mean, going at that flag wasn't even a thought to me. It was like, hey, this needs to be 30 feet long. Those guys, when they're that good, they can hit iron shots to whatever distance they want to, and they can go at any of those flags. So I think that's why we had the scores we had, you know, that week, is because those guys can do that, you know, hole in and hole out. So, but yeah, I mean, the only hole that we kind of had some strategy on was 13, figuring out what distance to hit off the tee and what distance we wanted into the green. One day we were more aggressive than the other, and so we only had an 80-yard shot versus a 110-yard shot. But the golf course itself was I thought was spectacular. The seventh hole, which is a par 5, is probably one of the coolest like risk reward holes you can have. If you go down the left side, it kind of opens up the second shot. You cut off some distance, but then the second shot is not easy. You have some room to the right to bail out, but other than that, you got to hit a really good shot. And then if you go to the right, it's a 3-shot hole. So you're kind of, you're kind of making that decision off the tee, what you want to do. Yeah, the golf course I thought was tremendous, the whole week, other than just being a little bit wet. And the Georgia fairways, especially around the greens, you can get so creative with different shots you want to hit. You can hit, a 60 degree that's going to take one hop and stop. If you want to get creative and hit a 50, for me, a 50 or 54, you can kind of have it take 3 or 4 hops and then grab. You can kind of get creative with what you want to do with it. So it was really cool to have those options around the green.
I would echo what Kyle said. I think number 2, just to give people a better idea, like it's such a separator. Like I'm with Kyle, like I'm seeing like, okay, like I'm trying to hit my 4-iron, 3-iron, 5-iron, whatever it might be, just kind of at the right center of the green. If it misses to the right of the green, maybe get it up and, have a decent chance to get it up and down. And I mean, Maverick McNeely, who I played with the first 2 days, he played the whole 3 under for the week in 4 rounds. He's just hitting it up there 35 past me. He's got 7-iron in, and these flags are tucked just over a bunker, and left of the green is just death. It's 6-7 inch long rough down there, and these guys are just throwing mid irons just over the top of the bunker, landing right by the pin and making not easy birdies, but having looks at birdie. And it's just that hole I thought really separated the elite players, because they could go after that whole location and get birdie looks inside of 15-20 feet.
Yeah, thanks for that. But and actually, number 2 is a member 5 par and was brought to a 4. So that's how par got to 71. And I was going to ask both of you about number 7 and number 2, but you covered that so great. So let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about 13. The island green. We had one player drive it, to my memory. There was one player that drived it and actually made eagle on it. But well, was it tempting at all? Did you try to go after it during the practice rounds, but then know that the play during the tournament itself was the not necessarily layup, but just get it down to the fairway to have that short iron or wedge in your hands? Brad, we'll start with you on this one, on number 13. Yeah.
Well, for me to get it to the green, Len, I'd have to bounce it off a rock short of the water, and then probably on a rock in front of the green, and then hope that it hold the green. So it was never an option for me there. So that for us, it was just, kind of the same thing that Kyle said. It's like, how aggressive do you want to get off the tee to try to leave yourself? Because if you could get it up there to 70, 80 yards, you could hit one of those shots that just kind of takes one hop and stops. Whereas if you get it back at 110, you're trying to judge the spin a little bit more. That tee shot, I tugged it both days. And the first day I was about 8-10 inches into the left rough, and the spotter was just hovering over my ball until I got about 5 feet from him. So I knew it was not going to be a very good lie. And that was an understatement. I couldn't even think about going at the green. I had 95 yards to the pin and just had to go out 10 yards to my right. And then ended up making a bogey. And then the second day I hit it in a fairway bunker and hit a really good wedge out of there to about 30 feet and made the putt. One of the few highlights on day 2. So that was kind of cool, because there's a big crowd around there. That got pretty loud. But I think the tee was up the last day a little bit, but man, it was still probably had to be 305 front edge, I would think, Kyle.
Yeah.
Downhill a little bit, but never tempting in my mind.
Thanks, Brad. Kyle, your approach to 13.
Yeah, definitely. No, driver was definitely not an option. I don't even know. When I saw that, I was like, I didn't even think that was even like a thought of anybody. I didn't see anyone hit driver there that I know of in the practice rounds or anything. So 13 to me is a cool hole as well. You have the setting, which you have 18 or I'm sorry, you have 18 green to the right, and you have the clubhouse behind you. So you have a lot of crowds around the tee, and then it funnels down into a hospitality area, both on 13 green and 14 tee. So it's a pretty big, crowded area. And I hit 5-wood one day right down the middle, and then 3-wood the next day. You know, a little bit more left and got it over past the bunkers. So I had, you know, some shorter wedges in there. And you know, the cool part was for me, I birdied that hole both days. You know, which, you know, my family and friends that were watching it, you know, because it was one of the featured holes on ESPN, so they got to watch me make a birdie both days on that hole, which was pretty cool. But like Brad said, that place can get loud, and the birdie I made the second day on Friday, because I started on 10 on round 2, that place was jumping. And then I got to 14 and hit the ball on the green there, and I think only like 20% of the players were hitting the green on 14, the par 3. And all 3 of us hit the green in our group the second round, and we all hit it to like 20 feet. So like that place was going nuts when we all did that too. So it was pretty cool. That little corner right there is a really cool piece of the property, because you have 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. All of those holes are awesome. You know, and even 12 is really cool. But like those holes are so good. They're so cool. And like, you know, it's just an area of the golf course where like, if you're hitting it well, you can kind of take advantage of it. And if you're not, you're going to go through that stretch in like 4 or 5 over. There's no question. So like, it's a cool piece of the golf course, and it's opposite of front nine, which is a lot more open. It almost looks like you're in just like a ranch farm area. And then you go to the back nine, and it's totally different, which is pretty cool about that place.
And there were no shortage of beer tents on the back nine, so that when you got in that area, the people were quite loud and very into anything good that happened. So the front was just kind of a desert in terms of, I think there was 1 or 2 places to get a beer, and you go on the back, and my caddy and I were just kind of counting. I mean, there were a couple of holes where there were 3 different places you could get a beer. So you were Friday afternoon, right, Cal?
Yeah, we teed off on 10 at like 4:15.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, those people have been drinking for a while. Yeah. I mean, I made a putt for par on 17 the first round from about 20 feet, and that place was going nuts. And then I made a birdie on 17. I made about a 25-footer, and it was the same thing. And, you know, we don't get to do that very often, where we make a putt and people are going nuts. Like, it actually hurt me the first day, because when I made the par putt, I got to 18, and I was so like jacked up. I went way too fast, and I ended up hitting my tee shot in the water, which is like, I think that was the second fairway I missed all day. And it was like, really, you're going to hit it? I mean, that's so far right, it's not even play. And it was just, looking back, I'm like, I was just so pumped from what happened on 17, you know. And then the next day when I made the putt, it was more like, hey, make sure you are way more calm walking to 18. And I actually hit the fairway the second day. So, but yeah, I mean, we don't, you know, learning on the fly like that is something that we have to do, because we don't do it week in and week out, you know. Like, it's just, you know, sometimes that happens and you're just so fired up, you don't even know what to do with yourself.
So speaking of the week in, week out, we do have one question that came in. This is from Sean McEntee, tournament director for Northern Cal section. Question for both of you. Wouldn't you both feel that if you were out there every week, would your play equal that of the PGA Tour players? You're playing every week.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, it depends on how much. I guess if guys like Brad and I, or Braden or Blocky or whoever, practice all the time, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, I think personally, I think I might be able to, but again, I don't hit it far enough. And I know that sounds, you know, maybe submissive to the idea of that, but I mean, these aren't short golf courses they play. Like, I was top 10 in putting through 36 holes of that event, and I was going home. And I think I missed 6 fairways the entire first 2 rounds, and I'm going home. So it's like, okay, so where's the deficiency at? Well, I hit, you know, 11, 12 fairways, you know, each round, and I was minus 2.5 strokes gained off the tee, because I believe that stat takes into account distance. So, you know, I mean, if you're looking at it from a statistic standpoint, I don't think I would have a chance out there, you know, especially with I'm hitting, you know, that many fairways. I'm hitting, 12 to 13 greens around, and I was 7th in putting, I think, through 36 holes. It's like, and I didn't play the last 2 rounds. So to me, I don't really know what else I could do better other than hit the ball 30 yards further, because, holes like 2, let's see, 1 and 2, like 1, I had 5 iron into, that's not a green you really want to hit a long iron into. 2, I have 7 wood into. 16, I hit 5 wood the first day, 7 wood the second day. These guys are hitting 7 iron, 8 iron. So it's like, okay, I might be able to hit it, still hit the green, but I mean, if you do that, let's say there's 5 or 6 holes like that per week. So you're looking at 20 times a week that they are having that, that club difference into. I'm losing a half a shot every time I play a hole like that to them. In theory, right? So I just don't think, for me, I don't think I would be able to do that week in and week out. I mean, I might have, spurts where I can, make a cut here or there and make some money, but I just don't think I hit it far enough, me personally, to be able to do that. I think I can, obviously the one weapon I have, which is my putter and my short game, that I can probably, stay competitive with, but I'm going to get surpassed by guys that hit it, 320, 330. I mean, even when I played with Xander 3 years ago, we played 2 practice rounds at the Farmers, compared to when we played, watching him play now. It's like he hits the ball, it's 20 yards further. And not only that, his irons are ridiculous. And his putter, which is basically, I replicated everything he does, his putter is on fire most of the time. So it's like, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck playing against that.
Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, a lot of this, I mean, Kyle and I kind of seem like we have very similar strengths here. Like I think 30 something, 31st, 33rd or something in putting through 2 days. Like when I played really well at Kiwa in 21, the golf course was very firm off the tee. So I think I only lost like an average of a half a shot strokes gained off the tee that week. But then you fast forward to 2024 in a soaking wet golf course, and I hit it what I thought was pretty well off the tee. I want to say I hit maybe 10 or 11 fairways on day 1, and the ones that I missed were not super far offline, and I still lost, I think, 2.1 shots strokes gained off the tee. So it's like inside of 150, inside of 100, like, definitely feel like, especially if you have more time to practice it too, could definitely keep up. But it's just this, when you're 3 clubs behind into greens, and these guys are already, in most cases, better iron players to begin with, and now they're hitting 3 less clubs, it just adds up. So you just have to get longer. I mean, there's just like, that's the fastest way. And that's, it was really interesting to see just how many guys, because you have the stats up there on the like on the range, there's a jumbotron, and there's always 4 players ball speeds that are up there, and they try to generally keep the guys that are hitting driver up there. And even these little guys, super skinny guys that you wouldn't think could hit it that far, and you look over and it's just 181 ball speed, 178 ball speed. There was one day I was trying to hit a few hard on the range, and the range was just a puff downwind, and I was getting a couple carries of like 288, 290 on TrackMan. And then Rory flew one 351, and then his next ball flew 357. So that's just another planet in terms of distance. I mean, they're just 180 ball speed, 185 ball speed, and a super efficient launch. It's just kind of hard to keep up. You're just playing a very long golf course compared to some of the other hitters.
They play a different game for sure, but you guys did great, and we are so proud of you for representing, not only our association, but our sections. Super proud of both of you. Sounds like you had an amazing, memorable week with your families and your friends. And Kyle, I know some of your members went out. Brad, I'm sure some of your students and members went out as well. So glad you got the experience, and can't wait to keep rooting you guys on for many years to come. So congrats, and thank you so much for joining us. We know you're busy. Got to get back to reality now, right?
Yeah, it's all good. My family had such a great time. We just got a dog yesterday from a breeder in Utah that we had planned for a week, for about a month, and they wanted to name the dog Valhalla. So
I love it.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
and then the members that went out there, they had a great time, and luckily I was playing, playing pretty well. So they got to watch, their pro, kind of do the thing at the highest level, which was cool. And,
Yeah.
and, Kyle Kramer, the head pro, who I talked to a few times, a little bit there, I reached out to him. We're going to take a member trip when we're closed here for overseas. So those guys are going to go back along with a few others. We're going to play for a couple of days. So
Oh, that's great.
that's definitely a cool place to go. It's the golf course is great, and Southern Hills was great a couple years ago as well, but it was a different experience. I was fighting stuff the whole time and just didn't really have much to go on there. But this was a cool week, and I think that everyone that went had a good time, and we're all going to go back there in a few months. So that's definitely going to be a cool trip.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. You're welcome to hang on, or if you need to get back to work at the club, we certainly understand. But congrats again. We're proud of you, and thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Brad.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, you guys.
With that, Mr. Kessler, if you would be so kind as to give us a quick advocacy and legislative update, we would certainly appreciate it, as we always do.
Okay, well, it's halftime in Sacramento. We have a practically all-year session in California, unlike virtually every other state in the union. By halftime, I mean that all bills that started in the Assembly or started in the Senate had to have passed out of the floor by last Friday in order to remain alive. And then they flip houses. They go through the process again. So at the half, I'll use the old football news. Golf did very well. We're leading at halftime. A couple of bills that really concerned us, one in particular, were dealt with to our satisfaction, both of them in the form of amendments, and I'll go into a little bit of detail on both. And I see that Eric Lohman is left, but this one very much affected the facility where he is the general manager. So a bill dropped this year that would have put a 100% ban on the use of all fertilizers and all pesticides on golf resorts in the coastal zone. If your first thought was Pebble Beach, and your second might have been La Costa, and your third was Torrey Pines, and your fourth, if you're the president of the Southern Cal PGA section, might have been Monarch Beach, you're correct. Those would have been affected, and they would have been very, very badly affected. And I think all those NCAA championships that are scheduled for La Costa, and maybe some of those USGA championships at Pebble Beach, would definitely have been put in jeopardy. So happy to report that we're doing well enough in Sacramento as an industry that it was very important to the sponsor of the bill, which was a major labor union, and the author of the bill, that golf's opposition be taken off the bill in order to get it out of its first policy committee of reference, which was natural resources, because it didn't get through the first time. And so it was amended very much to our satisfaction. A outright ban or prescription became an authorization to use, and there was a private attorney general action that was incorporated into it for complaints. That was replaced by a typical administrative action. And with that, we withdrew our opposition. It did make it through its first policy committee of reference. It did not make it through appropriations. But the good news for golf is things like this that fail often come back a second or third or fourth or fifth time. In fact, this was the second time this bill came out. And if it comes up next year or a year after that, it will almost assuredly come out with the amendments that make it a palatable bill for us. The other one that concerned us was a Senate bill that would have gone to year-round standard time, which would have been very bad for the golf industry. So there's no little twilight time at 4 in.the morning, but there is in the evening, and a lot of the daily fee and a lot of the municipal market would have been badly hurt by that. We had because the bill was not, we had intelligence that it would be received very coldly in the assembly when it flipped. It got amended at the last moment to be nothing more than a study due by 2027 of the impacts. My thought is that it's very difficult to oppose a study, but we may want to weigh in and suggest that the study ought to include, in addition to the health benefits and the other benefits, include the impact financially on those pieces of the recreation industry like golf that would be harmed financially. So that's it. in terms of some bills we supported, I won't go into, a couple of them went through. One didn't make it, and we didn't expect it, and had to do with creating some state monies for turf conversions in addition to turf replacements, turf replacements instead of turf removals. And that's something that Southern California jurisdictions like Metropolitan Water District and Los Angeles Water and Power have been experimenting with through other means. And in fact, El Caballero Country Club won a major environmental award for doing precisely that. So we have some ideas in golf about maybe sponsoring a bill in 2025 that would be would be really focused on large landscapes, which includes golf courses, also includes parks. And I think we're politically savvy enough to create a preference therein for underserved communities, because whereas clubs like El Cab or Braemar or others can afford the upfront costs of major turf conversions, the state's urban park systems really cannot. And yet that's an amazing amount of turf where a great deal of water could be saved by substituting modern, drought-tolerant Bermuda strains. So I think that the bottom line, what I'm trying to get at, whether it was a couple of years ago, whether it was, the couple of versions of a Public Golf Endangerment Act, some of the neonicotinoid and other pesticide bills for which golf was able to secure exemptions for licensed applicators that we use as opposed to homeowners and small businesses. And of course, to this audience, the whole issue of independent contracting. Good news, bad news. I think the good news is we've been extraordinarily successful in dealing with those things. The bad news is we seem to have to deal with more and more of them with each passing year, both from a negative and a positive point of view. Not that many years ago, when I would be confronted with the following question, you must spend a lot of time in Sacramento. My answer 5, 6, 7 years ago was not really. Increasingly, the answer is yes, quite a bit. And that's in addition to all of the local and regional work that's particularly compelling in the environmental realm, and particularly water. Water is much more local than it is state. I think everyone on this call knows that. Those things don't go away. And the many, many attacks on what I would call struggling municipal golf courses continue forward. And those are state issues only in the sense it seems to be statewide, but they're local issues in terms of how they're going to be attacked. So I'm going to wrap it up even a little bit earlier than you expected, Nikki. And I hate to be counterproductive, but I think bottom line is my hope is that the golf industry, instead of taking the wrong lesson from this, which would be, hey, we're getting by with the effort that we have now, takes the right message that we've found our way to some things that can work for us. We've upped the ante. We've upped our reputation in Sacramento, something I'm not going to go into detail with because it's in flux, and I want to be careful about sharing details that may turn out to be, obviated by events in a few days or a few weeks. But increasingly, particularly on water issues, the California Alliance for Golf support is being sought by major public utilities and others. That means they think it's important. For those like Tom Addis, who's on this call, who go way back in all the California Alliance for Golf meetings that we've had, probably remembers a bit of a meltdown I had in Sacramento, probably about 10 years ago at one of these meetings, when the subject turned to, gee, we need to produce these position letters and file them. And I finally weighed in to say, I can write great position letters in my sleep. The goal of any advocacy alliance is that when you do take a position, they take it seriously. It matters to them what you think and what your position is. So whether it's the success we had on independent contracting, defeating those in public golf endangerment acts, or this year, I can't emphasize enough how dangerous it may, the bill that would have prescribed the use of all fertilizers and pesticides at golf resorts in the coastal zone. What difference if the legislature were to make a finding that something's wrong with putting those products on golf resorts? It's the golf course that's the issue, not the hotel rooms. And it would have been a very slippery slope and a very short step towards somebody, I know a lot of environmental groups in this state, floating that bill and saying, why don't we do it for all golf courses in the coastal zone? And that would have been probably as impactful, if not more so, than those public golf endangerment acts that everyone rallied to defeat a couple of years ago. So that's the good news, as our stock is moving up. but we have to continue that and scale it up and learn the right lessons from the stock going up, and not be caught with suddenly losing one of these existential battles in the future, and also gain the ability, as I just suggested, to actually float some proactive positive bills for the industry and for our partners in the large landscape universe. So with that, I finished right on time, Nikki. So
Oh, you
it
did,
happened
Craig.
once. It happened once in 20 years. Treasure.
Well, thank you as always. We've talked a little bit earlier about this being Len's last California Nevada chat as he moves on. Some people on the chat may not know this, but today is your official last day as Public Affairs Director with the SCGA. We know you're not going far though. We're happy, very happy that you'll be serving in a consultant role for the SCGA, and I know we're going to work something out to still have your involvement with CAG as well. We hope to have you continue to be on these chats and provide insight and educate all of us as you have done. I think you've only missed one chat, and we've done quite a few. So I just want to publicly thank you for your participation, not only on this, but everything you do for all of us as golf professionals and PJ members. We recently went to National Golf Day in DC. That was my first time going earlier this month, and it became very, very evident, just confirmed what I already did know, but how well respected you are outside of California and across the country. And that helps all of us. So thank you, my friend. I know you're not going far, and enjoy the professional and personal relationship that we've built. So thank you for that.
Thank you for the kind words. I always enjoy my work with both sections, but obviously for obvious reasons, much closer to the Southern California section. And let me also announce that as of, I guess, tomorrow, because when you work in public affairs, there is no such thing as weekends. I discovered that years ago. The Kevin Fitzgerald, who served for some years as assistant executive director, he's not going to be interim. He has been named my successor, and I think many of you know him. He's a brilliant young man. He's quite capable and a very worthy successor. And I couldn't be happier for him, and I think for the SCGA and for golf, I think in this entire state of California. So it's been a joy, and we'll continue to have a relationship. And thank you for those words.
Craig, it may take a moment. Yeah, thank you as well. And it was some time ago, but some may know and some may not know. Early on, when we were working through independent contractors and unemployment and health insurance and this and that, you fielded a lot of calls from both, actually from professionals throughout the state of California, to offer guidance to them, to offer some comfort, because it was such a tumultuous time, and the rules were changing every day. Where you could play, where you could not play, what you could use, what you could not use, what you could drink in public, what you could not drink in public, and on and on and on. So thank you, on behalf of the pretty much the just 3,000 members and associates that comprise the state of California, but also guiding us through the bill, starting with AB 5, pretty much the independent contractor was the kickoff of a couple of years of learning a lot about the legislature. Some tough love that you gave us. Sometimes we needed to hear it. And sometimes there was only one way to deliver it, but you did that and educated us all. I think I can safely say for the group that we know many more 3, 4, 5 syllable words now, having dealt with you for 3 or 4 years than we knew before this started. But you're absolutely incredible, your delivery and your knowledge. And as Nikki said, we've CAG is sort of going a little bit of a facelift here, if you will, and that will keep you involved with us and actually broaden the extent. So we're very grateful for that. So thank you, Greg, on behalf of Northern California PGA and the golf industry in general.
Well, Len, thank you, and thank you for the work that you did and your personal friendship. And I want you to know that you're going to a club where my dad spent the last 26 years of his life as a member. So I'm quite familiar I've butchered it many, many times, played it badly. Unlike the other guests you had on the show who talked about their prowess. If you want to see a short drive, well, you've played with me, so you know how short. You understand a short drive. Thank you for and you're going to stay. I assume you're going to stay involved with this all. I look forward to it.
That's the idea. We hope so. Thank you, Craig. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Nikki and Len, real briefly, just a couple of comments. Craig, we go back a very long time. We go back to your public links days and in that realm. And I don't know how many times you can say to a person as you that you've grown in your job and you've grown in your effort and what you've done and you've been a leader, you've been a mentor to many of us, and me in particular, and keeping many of us on course, as you mentioned earlier, where we need to be kept on course. And I've appreciated that and learned from that, I think, so well over the years, and really appreciate that. But most of all, appreciate being a friend, being able to do friend things, kid each other, and have a good time when we can. We've not. I think we've only played one round of golf together in all these years, but maybe that was enough. I don't know. Enough for you probably, but anyway, Craig, thank you so much, and we look forward to your contribution in the future for a long time to come. And it's been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you very much.
To be described as a mentor to someone who is a mentor to so many people around this country. That's what I've discovered. If Nikki discovered that I was a little respected in a narrow realm in Washington, D.C., I've discovered that the mere mention of your name is everyone around this country knows you for your relationship. Thank you for that, Tom.
Thanks.
All right, Craig, thanks so much. Now, Leonard, your turn. You're in the barrel. We said at the top of the hour that this would be your last official chat as executive director of Northern California section. We started these chats with COVID. Obviously, it was meant to educate and keep our members informed as to what was going on as we were trying to get golf back open. Craig was such an integral part of that. We were doing these twice a week. You and I talked about this recently for quite a while, and now we've been going once a month. I mean, I've lost count, but I think we're near 100 chats that we've done. We continue to get great turnout, so we're obviously doing something great. But it's just been a pleasure not only to work with you on these chats and determining who are going to be our guests, the texting we do behind the scenes as to who's going to ask what and who's up. Just every day, Lynn. I appreciate you. I appreciate our friendship and the personal and professional relationship that we have. You've been a great friend, a great mentor. You've helped me tremendously in my first year and a half as executive director. So thanks for that. I know it's not goodbye. We'll just see you in a different realm, and I'll be with Lippert as well once a week up at Napa. So much more to come, but thank you so much, Len.
Yeah, thank you, Nikki. And Tom, when we started this 4 years ago, we just felt we were both doing it. Let's do it together and just serving the members and growing the game. Nothing more than that, right? And it's a lot more fun now having our section professionals on talking about their time at Valhalla than all of the craziness of the early years. But Nikki, to that point, coming into this role was totally unexpected. Part of the greatest thing that I'm taking away is the relationships with everybody and the depth of those relationships. I was speaking with a past president of the Southern California PGA this morning and said, I think I know more past presidents in the Southern California section than I do up here. But it was all about that. It was all about just being together, working with each other, learning from each other, teaching. Tom, goes way back when I started on the board, 2006, 7, and then as an officer in 8 or 9, looking up to you, as Craig mentioned, as we all have done, just saying, okay, a nice way of saying that's really crazy. Why don't you look at it a different way, or offering support there? But this is all about you guys and just allowing me in and being ourselves and moving ahead. So my eternal thanks to all of you and the depth of our relationships, and of course, it will continue. So I'm truly grateful on myself, Catherine, Haley, and Drew for everything that we've done together and will continue to do.
Well, we've known each other for many, many years. We've been partners in various activities, and in particular, as Nikki mentioned, from the start of the California Nevada PGA Chats that have been really something that kept a lot of people together, and especially through the COVID times, and that bond has continued. And thanks to you, and now thanks to you and Nikki for doing that. You and I, as partners, have experienced some ups and downs over the years, particularly in 2017. And we've, because of our friendship, because of your heart, your goodwill, and I say that with great admiration, we've been able to do a lot of good things. And to be able to share that and participate in our Ohana and all the good times that we've had has been, it's been truly an honor, as well as fun, and as well as many accomplishments. So thank you for that. Getting to know Catherine the past 4, 5, 6 years has also been something that's been great for both Susan and myself, and the friendships that we've developed there, and we've become life friends, and appreciate that. So good luck to you. I know you'll be involved. You're going to bring your talents and your charisma and your care and everything to Napa and Silverado. And I'm envious of the people who will have the opportunity to work around you. So congratulations. And one key word that I've always admired, and that's the word thank you, Len. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. I don't know what to say, but thank you, and we'll just continue on as friends, and couldn't ask for more than that.
We have one
Well,
more
Leonard,
special guest for you, Lynn.
I know what to say. I'm sorry for my appearance. I was just on a finance call, so you got to wear magical things to make magical things happen in finance, Leonard. So I hope you appreciate that. I just wanted, I know we're all here to say farewell to Craig, but also to Len. But being a part of our PGA Ohana, Len, I think you are embarking on whatever this new chapter is in your life. Fortunately for all of us, it's not retirement. But it is still with mixed emotions that I do say mahalo to you, Len, and celebrate the incredible journey that we've been on together through countless contributions and time and things that we've done. There's been so much that you and I have kind of interacted with over many years since I started as an executive director, and your presence in the association has truly been remarkable. I think just your dedication, your passion, your unwavering commitment has definitely left an indelible mark on all of us. Your wealth of knowledge, your expertise has not only shaped your team, but has also inspired many of us to reach new heights of excellence. So, it's been a pleasure to see you in this role as an executive director for the Northern California PGA, and I think definitely in your tenure, you have done more than just be a colleague to me. You've been a mentor, a friend, and maybe even for some other people like President Lippert, a therapist at times when they've needed this. But your willingness to help offer your sage advice to many of us and share your experiences have definitely been invaluable to all of the collective group in our district and the Association for Growth and Success. So, as you embark on this well-deserved next part of your journey, I just want you to know that your legacy definitely will live on in many of us, in our hearts and our minds, and everything that you've touched. Your professionalism, your integrity, your kindness has set, I think, standards for all of us to follow, Len. And I certainly will definitely miss your presence on our calls. Nikki is not very well at taking my harassment as well as, you have been over the years. But I think I take comfort in knowing that wherever you're moving on to next, they will definitely benefit from your experience. So on behalf of the district association, I just want to express our deepest gratitude to you for your service and your aloha. I think you leave behind some very big shoes to fill, Leonard, but you also leave behind a team, I think, that is stronger, wiser, and definitely more resilient because of you. At least that's what they've paid me to say on the call today, Len. So I got paid a pretty good royalty for that, for ADP funding. But seriously, as you step into your next step of your life journey for career and work, I think there's endless possibilities for you on the horizon, but most importantly, you will continue to serve the Northern California golf industry as a consummate PGA professional that you are, and someone that I definitely admire. So mahalo, Len. We appreciate you and everything that you have done. And of course, the endless amount of pasta that I have eaten over the years at all the dinners that you've served. So on behalf of the Aloha Section PGA and all of us in the district, mahalo to you for your leadership and your friendship to all of us.
Wes, thank you. We had many talks privately years ago and still do. Part of the D11 meetings, particularly the ones that we had in Aloha, you always educated us on culture and how the culture affected how we do business and how it's about being people and all the different roles we play. But it was a level of insight that had a lot of effect a lot of times on myself. And so I'm eternally grateful for that. Many times we forgot the time difference and called you at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. or something. But the point is, thank you, Wes, for all that. And it's only, if there was any success, it was because of all of us working on it together. That's all. It's understanding what's in front of us. Maybe just keeping the members forefront. What's the best for the most that we could do all the time. But I'm just a product of everyone here. Just absolutely a product of everyone here. I've called y'all and screamed at you, called y'all and said, I need help, called y'all and said, leave me alone, and on and on and on. But it only, all of those things just brought us closer. So I'm a product, Wes, of everything you said, the professionalism, the friendships, the knowledge, the knowing when to be, we're talking to a board of directors now, knowing when we're talking to each other and the different language and so on and so forth. So to you and Serena and everyone, Wes, my ultimate thanks. And I know we'll continue on that. And I thank you all for the thoughts.
Appreciate you, Len. Thank you.
Any other final comments for Len? Len, we all love you and appreciate you. Eric, sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say, I mean, at this point, you can't, I mean, the golden unicorn, really? Who's gonna say anything else? Of course, except me. But no, I don't have much more to share that Wes didn't cover, other than it's been an honor and a privilege, Len, and I know we'll have some more moments here, but again, like I said at the beginning, thank you so much for everything. Been very important to all of us, and myself included. So as you said, there's been a lot of conversations that we won't share, and a lot of with everybody else that I've enjoyed, and I think we both have. So God bless you, and thank you for everything you've done.
Yeah, Eric, thank you. And people need to know this. We've talked a lot, and it wasn't always about Northern California PGA. It was about the PGA. It's about life and things and so on and so forth. And I thank you for that, because it separated us from our roles and just being people, just being people. And that's probably the most important thing. So, and I think, thank you, Eric, for all that time. The times I drove down and said, can I get you for an hour? And we figured it out, and it was personal stuff and so on and so forth. You were always there, and maybe we did that the other way too at times. But thank you, and Angela and the kids for all the support. I know we're not done. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Len, can you close us out one last time, sir?
Okay, well, thank you all for that. Certainly, thank you to Brad and Kyle, and congratulations to Brad and Kyle. It is really exciting when we have people that we know in the major championships or any of the championships. So we're grateful to be able to share them, share that with them, and then to Craig for all that you've done for us. And as Nikki said, you only missed one chat, which was reflected in your pay for that week, if I remember correctly. So that's a good thing. And onward we go. Thanks, Tom, Nikki, to Eric Ells. We both have Eric Ells, Bryce, Shelby, Steve, and Danny for all the work all these years. And to everyone that's participated and been with us pretty much every week too. Thank you all for that support. Let's see. I think that's about it. Nikki, you talk about the upcoming in June, right?
Yeah, June, I believe we're June 28th will be our next chat. And we're excited to have two coaches join us. Rick Smith, coach of Scotty Scheffler, and Jamie Mulligan, coach of Nelly Corda. So we look forward to hearing from them.
Okay, thanks everyone again for being with us. Keep looking out for each other, take care of each other, and enjoy the weekend.
Thanks.
Thank you.